Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'm joined by the effervescent Jamie. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all the better now that you've called me whatever the fuck that word was. I don't know if it is a good word or a bad word, but it sounds like evanescence, so it's a compliment, right?
No, mate, effervescent, okay? Basically what I'm saying is, when you're in my mouth, it goes fizzy.
So I'm like, oh, what are those tablets called that you put in the water? And it's like a...
Effervescent tablets.
No, but there's a specific brand that does an orange flavor.
Barocca.
Barocca, there we go. Like, yeah, so I'm the Barocca of the podcasting world. I bring life to podcasting.
You are the Barocca, yeah. And you may notice that there's only two people on the podcast because the Kale of the podcasting world is not with us today. R.I.P. Alex Jones. Hopefully he will overcome his demons and be a better man for it, and then maybe we'll let him back on the podcast. Who knows? Time will tell. Check in next week.
Exactly. But yeah, we needed to hire. We're going through our own Try Guys situation right now. Like, we have to go through all the due process. We've hired a lawyer. We've got some HR in. But in the meantime, we're going to be crying on videos and podcasts and monetizing the shit out of it. In spite of the fact that we're grown men crying because our friend had an affair. Ooh.
Oh, can you imagine what a life it must be that's all you need to do? Go on podcasts, cry, like, fucking hell. I kind of feel like the Try Guys, like, what's the saying? Fell with their arse in the butter or some shit like that.
I've never heard that.
Well, isn't that a saying? Yeah, like basically saying that, like, yeah, it's like you fell into this situation which was like not really of your own making, but it's like seriously cush.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yes, but they did have to take some risks, and I give them props for that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like leaving a nest egg like BuzzFeed must always be a weird jump. And I will say, like, while I took the piss out of them just then, they came across a lot more sort of well-rounded on their podcast, which was obviously not as scripted as the video they put out. But there was still an element to me, like, did you do this where you tried to imagine how you would react if one of us did what Ned, whatever his face is, did? And it's like
Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders, there you go, that works. And like, obviously our brand isn't the same, and none of us have monetized our wife and our relationship and our marriage in the same way he did, supposedly. But yeah, there are a few points.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It's all about like all about the persona that we put out there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, our persona, like, I think our persona would just be absolutely fine with something like that happening.
It would depend. Like, I can understand the anger when they had to cancel videos, because obviously he had an affair with an employee. We don't have employees. Yeah. That's another thing. We can't really put ourselves in their shoes.
Well, we're employees to each other. So, you know, it would be one of us boning one of us.
So you're asking me, how would I feel if I found out that you and Jonesy both cheated on your wives with each other, and I fired you both and became a one-man podcast?
Could you imagine? Yeah. That would be a great story, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'll just pencil it in for a few weeks' time. We'll see how we get on. All right.
Yes. Yeah, and cool. And everyone look out for the first episode, the debut episode of the Barocca cast, starring exclusively yours truly. And it's a podcast about all things effervescent, including effervescent video games. Am I even saying that word right? I don't know anymore.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, good.
But oh god, but you did say Evanescence, which also makes me think, whatever the fucking happened to them. They did that one Daredevil song.
Oh wait, no, not the Daredevil. Well, unless the Daredevil song is "Wake Me Up, Wake Me Up."
Yeah,
okay.
Wasn't that the Daredevil? I think that was the Daredevil song.
I don't associate that with Daredevil. I associate that with. I have some friends, and we often, for whatever reason, take great joy and comfort in swapping out words and songs and quotes in movies with rather, I don't know, I'm not going to say uncomfortable or like disturbing words, but like slightly more out there nomenclature. And we used to do that with that song and swap out the wake for gape. So it'd be like, gape me up, like as in like you're gaping. But the best part was when the bloke goes, gape me. And we just like the idea of a man screaming gape me at the top of his lungs.
Oh my God.
There's a little story.
By the way, yes, it was Daredevil. Gape me back to life. There we go.
Ben Affleck's Gape Devil.
You know what? Seeing as we're the home of
Hot takes, trash opinions.
Hot takes, trash opinions. I really didn't mind the Daredevil movie. I thought it was all right.
I never saw it, to be honest. I know that Colin Farrell played Bullseye. What was it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bald and fucking... Anyway. Yeah. Fun times. But you know what, Jamie? You know what makes all the fun times all that more funner?
Gaping
it with you, buddy. And if Jonesy was here, gaping it with him too. The real fact of the matter is Jonesy went for an exceptionally enthusiastic goatsy, and he had to be stitched back together. But while he's being stitched back together, it is my duty, nay, my privilege, to let you know that we are a gaming podcast. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we are available on all major podcasting platforms of your choice. I'm talking Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. And the reason I'm going to say that, Jamie, is because I got a notification from my Amazon app on my mobile phone. And it said, hey, please listen to podcasts on our platform. We'll give you a £5 voucher if you finish an entire episode.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, yeah, sure. So I fired up an episode of SuperShow, just let it play in the background.
Why not?
And bada bing, bada boom, a £5 delivered direct into my digital wallet.
I like that.
So yeah, I like it too. You know what else I like? Is seeing your, at times, slightly blurry face playing out on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's focus for the folks at home. Hello.
That's focus for you. Yes, I am saying that we are available on YouTube. If you do not want to just listen to our voices and you want to see our beautiful, gorgeous, semi-focused mugs.
See, now I'm doing the thing. I'm moving my face probably too close to the camera to try and like remind it what I look like. It's not coming with me.
This is great. I like it. We'll slap on a sharpened filter. It'll be fine. We're also available, paisleyradio.com, Thursdays at 10 p.m. Repeats on Mondays, 10 p.m. So if you want that kind of pseudo live feeling, there you go. Now, Jamie, I want to mix things up a little bit, okay? And I want to start this podcast, okay? We're going to talk about things, okay? We're going to talk about Hideo Kojima's teasing of his next title. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to talk about like the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer that dropped, and we're going to talk about all things CD Projekt Red. But before we do that, I thought, hey, you know what? We didn't do it last week. Let's do it this week. Let's go for a comment of the week. Kick everything off. And there's a reason for this one, Jamie. Mm-hmm. Okay, this one is coming in from Slick1977, who goes on to say, "I'm not ashamed to say it, but I was gutted when the weekend passed without a show, but you guys pulled it out of the bag. Well done. Also, 1 week, great song, and also burned into my memory after a few karaoke sessions." So, yes, 1 week. I clearly had the wrong take there, and I do apologize, Jamie. You absolutely smashed it, and everyone kind of congratulated you for it and scolded me in equal measure. So, fair play.
Apology accepted, Chris.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess when you're talking about apologies, we should probably apologize to our listenership. You know, all 10 of you who are waiting for the weekend to come, roll by, have the good Super Show fun time. But it wasn't there. It wasn't there. It came out during the week. And if you're listening to this podcast now, it's happened again. So what do you have to say about that, Jamie?
I mean... We've changed the day we record on, is what I have to say. Welcome to the future, the brave new future that we live in now.
Yeah, welcome to Super Show 2.0, recorded on Sunday nights, edited Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, aiming for Monday. But you never know.
Should be coming out on Mondays where possible going forward. I was the reason it didn't go out on Monday last week, owing to certain technical difficulties. But yes, that will be the new norm, hopefully.
Yeah, so I hope it doesn't kind of like ruin people's weekends too much. I mean, you know what, you can always just wait until the weekend to play it. The news might be a little bit older, but the fun times never stop. I just think that like we just needed a bit of a change. I think we were just kind of feeling a bit bogged down by the I don't know, I don't want to necessarily say the tedium of it, but just like the routine of it. So It's not much of a shake-up, but just something to kind of, Make it a little bit easier for us.
The irony is not remotely lost on me that we switched to recording on Sundays because it felt like a better fit. And on our second ever Sunday recording, there's only 2 of us here.
But restitching up your arsehole, it takes time. So
exactly.
It's all right. It's fine. But yeah, so there we go. So from now on, expect to let the Super Show kick off your week. Mondays are shit enough as it is. You might as well end your Monday with a great podcast. And what better podcast to listen to than the Giant Bombcast? And then once you finish listening to that, you can listen to us. It's a Super Show.
I mean, if we're going to go down that route, there's probably another 50 to 60 podcasts we can mention before we get to us across all genres.
Look, week on week, I think we sit at maybe the 120th kind of, if we're averaging it out. Sometimes we hit into the top 100. But yeah, I'd say maybe between 100 and 120 other podcasts to mention before our own. But, I'll take it because, there's fucking 6 billion bicycles in China or whatever the fucking song was.
It's true.
Anyway, it's fucking true. You know what else is true, Jamie?
What?
Hideo Kojima.
How many bicycles are there in Japan?
Just one. And Hideo Kojima rides it every day as he is working on a new game.
He totally is.
Let me ask you this, Jamie. When you woke up this morning, did you ever think that you would be talking about the fact that Hideo Kojima could be teasing another game?
I mean, if I were to answer that question directly, the answer is quite firmly yes, because I knew I was recording this podcast this evening, and I knew that there was a pretty decent chance Hideo Kojima would come up on the broadcast, because we love talking about him and his shenanigans, because he's still one of the only cats in the game that, likes a little... He still believes that variety is the spice of life, and there's no fun in just coming out and saying shit or putting out a black and white, simple as tweet. He likes the chase. He likes a bit of cat and mouse action. He likes being cryptic, Chris, and he
doesn't mind a bit of scat.
Hideo Kojima is the modern day Scatman. Scatman Kojathas. That doesn't really work.
Wow, that was a bit forced, but I'll accept it. But yeah, Jamie, so you're a big Hideo Kojima fan.
I am.
This must be a fun time for you. Kojima officially starting to tease what's up next.
Yeah, absolutely.
I must say, it kind of feels like a little bit anticlimactic the way he's been doing it. So, for those who don't know, Kojima's been teasing a certain actor on Twitter since last month's Tokyo Game Show. So, there was a darkened image of a mystery woman, and there was a caption that says, quite cryptically, "Who am I?"
Yes.
And knowing Kojima, it's going to be the chick's name is I. And it's oh, who am I? I am I. Or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. He's a weird dude, Kojima.
He is,
but yeah. Since then, he has confirmed that, what's her first name?
Elle.
Fanning. Elle Fanning. I keep on thinking Dakota Fanning. What happened to Dakota Fanning?
She was in that last Tarantino film, but I don't know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but that's about all I can think of recently.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, she had a small role. She was, when Brad Pitt goes
in the cult, yeah.
Yeah, and there's that the older dude who's the leader of the cult, but Brad Pitt's not allowed to meet him or see him, and she's one of the eldest girls on the ranch.
Fucking weird, man.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, and wasn't Margaret Qualley part of that? Qualley?
Margaret Qualley was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and could also be a part of this mystery. That part remains to be seen there.
So this is the weird thing, right? So before all of this teasing, even before he showed off the face, there was this whole leak about, Kojima's next game is called Overdose and it's a horror game and it's starring Margaret Qualley. I'm going to say Qualley. Would you say Qualley or Qualley?
I'd say Qualley personally, but I might be wrong.
She does seem like a bit of a quail, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Margaret Quail's eggs.
Margaret Quail's eggs. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. And then fans have been speculating that the actual darkened face, they did all the thing of let me bring it into Lightroom or Photoshop and just fucking up the saturation and contrast and blah, blah, blah. They speculated Deadpool 2's Shiori Katsuna Anna de Armas or Margaret Qualley.
That's the new Darkened Face, I should say. So you know that there have been two Darkened Faces.
Yeah, there are two. Yeah.
So Elle Fanning was confirmed as Who Am I? Those three you mentioned are the potential candidates for Where Am I?
You see, this is so. I'm so glad you're here because this is all so fucking weird.
But basically,
in a very Kojima way.
Basically, across Twitter and in certain physical locations like TGS, as you mentioned, and PAX Australia, which is just about to begin, Hideo Kojima has been teasing the darkened portraits of certain individuals. The first one was Elle Fanning. The second one, I personally believe the Shiori Kutsuna angle.
Okay.
She was Yukio in Deadpool 2, who I think she's like the
Yu-Gi-Oh?
friend. She's like the friend or the girlfriend of the Russian chick with short hair. Who I don't think is actually Russian. I don't remember Deadpool that well. I'm really sorry. I know she says "Hi Wade" in a cute way because lots of people keep quoting that, like in tweets and on Reddit and various forums and stuff like that. Yukio, you know.
I'm looking it up. I can't remember this woman.
How well do you remember Deadpool 2? Clearly about as well as I do.
Yeah, sure. Okay, her. Yeah. So what is it? So he's got Who Am I? Where Am I? And then he tweeted another one that was like, question mark, what's next? There's always going to be When Am I?
Yeah, so, I mean, after Who, we had Who and Where, and you can say what, and there was when, and how even. It does seem like there are going to be 5 clues in total, based on kind of the bullet points that he has left empty in his recent tweets. The Kojima-san I'm talking about. But whether or not they'll all be cast announcements or whether or not there'll be anything that points to what this actually is, that remains to be seen. But the bottom line, the bottom line that I'm excited about is that Kojima is teasing stuff. And these are like tangible things. Like Elle Fanning will presumably be the lead, or at least one of the leads, in a ungamed Hideo Kojima.
But yeah. So we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's Project Overdose. We don't know if it's the rumored, or rather planned, collaboration with Microsoft. We don't know. I believe the leading theory at the moment is that it's Death Stranding 2.
That's right, yeah.
Because earlier this week, a producer at Kojima Productions used the hashtag Death Stranding when retweeting Kojima's announcement. But then again, who the fuck knows? I want to ask you a question, like, how did Death Stranding get announced? I think it was just purely the first trailer, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was exactly it. So I remember someone, I can't remember the guy's name, but a guy who worked at PlayStation at the time, who's since left, filmed the video, sat down with Kojima to announce that they were officially collaborating. That was PlayStation and Kojima Productions at the time, when Kojima Productions had just been formed. And yeah, it was at E3. They rolled out not the red carpet, but the virtual white paneled carpet for Kojima that he infamously walked faster than, so he got ahead of the carpet.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, exactly, that whole thing. And then, he was like, he'd just been on the tour to find an engine, so everyone had thought that it was like way too early to show anything. But then he showed, like you said, that first trailer for Death Stranding that revealed a lot of the themes that would be relevant in the final game, from Norman Reedus' involvement to a baby to the Cupid to those 5 floating figures. Obviously, the Stranding itself saw the washed up fish and sea life, black gooey handprints. Like, a lot of those ideas and a lot of that imagery was there immediately, even though the game wasn't. So it came together pretty quickly.
So with that in mind, are you a bit disappointed at how this is kind of panning out?
Sorry, go for it.
I was going to say, like, doesn't it feel like unnecessarily dragging it out in a way?
As someone who's excited, I don't think it's unnecessary. I think it is, as I just said, exciting. I do think there's a certain irony, or not even an irony. There's a certain, there's something about how muted this has felt that is kind of slightly odd to me. I made an observation to you early before we started recording that whenever it was, this time last year, this time the year before, time has no meaning anymore. But Abandoned was the talk of the town. And you got to remember that Abandoned was this weird situation where, that was a game that was announced it had a trailer on the PlayStation official YouTube channel, and Hassan Karaman was this slightly odd character who said slightly odd things, but never, especially in the early stages, never truly lent into the Kojima comparisons or the Kojima Productions links in any real way. A lot of that was fueled by these crazy fans who were like, do you remember translating the word Karaman from one language into another? And they were, trying to find hidden links and meanings and everything. And people got obsessed with it. There were subreddits devoted to unraveling the clues and the secrets behind a thing that we now know with hindsight was absolutely nothing. There was never anything there. And now Hideo Kojima himself is actually coming out and is trying to get some kind of, I'm not going to call it an ARG, but he's teasing real information about a real project. And people are just kind of like almost shrugging their shoulders. And yeah, for me, the announcement that Elle Fanning is, as I said, either the lead or a lead in an upcoming Hideo Kojima game, that's like quite a big deal. And the idea that, there's another actress on the cusp of being announced and more details and more news that's going to arrive probably in the coming weeks, coming months, and that I don't think it's unrealistic to say that we might know what this project is or see something from it maybe by the end of the year, early next year. I'm
don't you think don't you think prime way for him to kind of release a trailer is going to be at Game Awards?
Yes, I think certainly given his relationship with Jeff Keighley, given the fact that when you look at how he's sort of like formatting his announcements, they all seem to begin with an event. So the Who was announced at TGS, as we said. The Where will be confirmed at PAX Australia. He's definitely trying to tie into physical events to get the stuff out there. But it's weird, like the reality is that physical events and having a billboard or whatever it is at TGS doesn't reach as many people as a trailer will on like a Keighley stream, which I think is part of why not many people are talking about this or particularly interested in it or trying to break down this out or the other. It's because he hasn't truly got that captive audience in front of him yet. But by the time a real game materializes and there's more meat on the bone, I think people will start to show their traditional level of Kojima intrigue, which is somewhat missing at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Because like, if you're listening to this podcast, you know my feelings on Death Stranding. But whatever they are, the ride getting to the release of that game was fucking crazy. Yeah. All those trailers, dissecting them. I remember when the second trailer came out, it was like, oh my God, if you time it and line them up at this point, then the baby disappears from Norman Reedus' hands and goes in the fucking enclosure thing. It's like, yep. I lived for that shit. And that, of course, was when Jonesy had his very famous meltdown on all-time gaming.
Babies and batteries.
Yeah, because we were still speculating. We had no clue what the baby was. And we thought, oh, maybe it powers that little device on his back. Mm-hmm. We said, and then Jones was like, yeah, but babies can't be batteries. And he was stuck on the logic or the illogical thing of a baby cannot be a battery, rather than like the fact that there are dead whales and skeleton soldiers.
What I like about it is that Jonesy rejected the idea that the baby was a battery and that the energy that the baby was naturally producing was being used to power a rather simple electronic device or whatever it was. Completely rejected that hypothesis. Far too far-fetched, outrageous claim. The reality that they were bridge babies, that they were basically allowed mankind to get a link between the world of the living and the world of the dead. And they did so by taking them from the wombs of women called still mothers, who were basically brain-dead women who were pregnant at the time at which they went brain-dead. And it's like, that was the real... So, goes to show.
Yeah, but Jamie, you don't understand. Babies cannot be batteries.
No, but they can be the link between the world of the living and the world of the dead. And they can help you sense BTs.
Yes.
Depending on the level of dooms.
But no battery is required, is what I'm trying to say.
No battery is required.
No, it's... I wish there was more to talk about. Like, I wonder if there's some weird, crazy shit out there or something in those posters or in his tweets. Like, how frustrating must it be if you put something out there and people just aren't interested enough to pick up on it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That must be frustrating. I also think especially frustrating for Kojima because you mentioned this a little bit when it came to the way people broke down the trailers and the promotional material for Death Stranding. someone like him gets a reputation, and at some point that reputation precedes them, and people start handling everything they say or everything they do in a certain way. And at some point, you look at the way Kojima actually handled Death Stranding, the promotion, the release, the life cycle after the fact, all the way up to the director's cut. He didn't really do any bullshit. But between, the sort of we're soon to be seen revival of Konami, the never-ending Silent Hill stuff, the Hassan Karaman and the Abandoned stuff, the Overdose stuff that you mentioned, like Kojima's name is thrown into the mix fucking every 2 months on some other bullshit, and it's not actually him. Like, he's not doing it. He's not inserting himself into the conversation, and so a fatigue gets built up that he hasn't.
Hold on, I gotta jump in there because I think with the whole Hassan Karaman thing, he reveled in jumping into that.
What did he do? Name one thing
Kojima
he did
way.
that was jumping into it. What did he do?
I think he latched onto the idea that people had that he might be involved, and I think he.
What's one piece of evidence that he did that though? Like, what did he say? A tweet that he did, for example. There's nothing. He didn't do anything.
Well, yeah.
He just sat there.
You're right. Like, he just sat there. He didn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything.
No, but you could say like whether coincidence or not. Like with do you remember the director's cut trailer where the box upended and the oranges in the box, and it's like, oh, if you invert oranges, you get orange, you get blue, and it's blue box games. Then all the stuff with Silent Hills was him kind of like tweeting about all these things that were like the fucking bunny rabbit suit from Silent Hills or something when all that talk started coming up. Like, you could say that there had no basis in anything, and that's absolutely fair because, but I do feel that he just like enjoys fucking and having fun with that kind of thing.
Though those are two fair examples. I think they're so minor given the ultimate scale of those controversies that he ended up in. And I still also think that like someone occasionally making like the odd joke or like kind of not distancing himself from like this, like it still doesn't mean that he earns the kind of fatigue that people might be feeling. And like, again, I still think that he's just far enough removed from, you think about where the Hassan Karaman and the Abandoned stuff got to and how tired of it people were by the end, and how some of that, if any of it, might be rubbing off onto Kojima right now. Like, that would be unfair in my eyes. But at the same time, like, you look at what he's actually doing here, specifically what we're talking about. We're talking about the perhaps slightly unnecessarily drawn out reveal of a cast, and it ties back into one of Kojima's biggest problems, which he does have this sort of like fetishization of Hollywood and known and recognizable actors. You go back to Kiefer Sutherland completely unnecessarily replacing David Hayter in the role of Solid Snake, resulting in Kiefer Sutherland recording about like 2 lines of dialogue for the Phantom Pain and perhaps completely changing what could have been the trajectory of that game. Like, Kojima can be his own worst enemy, excuse me. And like doing photo shoots with Elle Fanning, like there's a part of me that hears that and I'm like, okay, dude, like I hope you still got the same team of people around you helping actually design a game here. But we'll see. And it's also like he's also worked himself into a horrible situation where like nothing would be a surprise. And if we got to the Game Awards and Elle Fanning starred as, is it a spoiler to say who Elle Fanning could star as if it were a Death Stranding sequel? Maybe I won't say just in case.
Nah, I don't think it. No, fuck it. Like, enough time has gone on.
Okay, I'll still keep it cryptic, so it doesn't mean anything. But like, let's say
we actually spoiled it on the podcast before, anyway. So,
but like, yeah, if we get to the point where like Death Stranding 2 is revealed and Elle Fanning is Lou, and they've got some new gimmick that's not like a Porter system anymore. It's just a new game set in the world of Death Stranding. Then that would be really cool, and I'd be really excited. But we'd also just go, okay, cool, yeah, that kind of, that's someone putting all the pieces of the jigsaw together in a way that made sense. And that's not a surprise. Yeah. So I hope there are more surprises rather than just the cast.
So this is what I wanted to ask you. What is your feeling on it? Do you think it is Death Stranding 2? Like, is that your gut? Or do you think it's something else?
That is my gut. For some reason, I might have it completely wrong. I think that whatever happened during the summer with Overdose and the Microsoft deal, I think ties into all these other reports. Like, those reports that Stadia turned down a Kojima horror game, and and that's why Kojima's still been very interested in cloud-based gaming and signed the deal with Microsoft. Yeah. I think there's something weird out there. The Overdose and the Margaret Qualley thing and that trailer that some people supposedly saw ties into some kind of cloud-based episodic horror title that sees Kojima experimenting with what he sees as new and exciting tech that allows people to engage with games and that kind of form of media in a way that they perhaps haven't before. And that's kind of classic Kojima territory to want to experiment with that. Like, this was a guy who put a fucking solar panel in a Game Boy game. Like, he does weird and this is a guy who wanted to make a self-destructing disc. You know, like Kojima likes to push the envelope where he can. He might not have done it that much for a while, but he wants to. Yeah. But Death Stranding 2 seems logical. They almost all but confirmed it when Norman Reedus let slip that he was filming stuff for the new thing, and then there was the Instagram post where Kojima was feigning an attack on Reedus, almost as a repercussion for revealing that information. I just hope that, and I've said this before on this podcast, so I won't go too in depth on it, but one thing I hope is that Kojima sticks with one of the kind of the principles he set up and followed through with on Metal Gear Solid, which is that just because you're making a sequel doesn't mean it has to be the same game. And he found so many interesting ways through either game design ideas or character perspectives or timelines to make each Metal Gear Solid game often vastly different to the one before it while still being interconnected. I hope we see more of that energy, because you can't make another Porter game, in my opinion. You just can't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Death Stranding definitely has its fans, and I think it also put off a lot of people in terms of what that actual minute-to-minute, day-to-day gameplay mechanic was.
Mm.
And I know as well, like, my personal experience from it, of playing maybe the first hour of it, but then also watching the fucking, 10-hour movie on YouTube on like all the cutscenes and shit. Like, I don't know. A lot of this stuff seemed maybe a little bit melodramatic and maybe a little bit over the top, even for Kojima's standards, perhaps. I don't know. What would you like to see maintained from Death Stranding 2 then?
Do you know what?
Because you're right. It can't be a Porter thing. That's fucking mental.
The weird thing is that I think when I think about what I liked about Death Stranding 2 is how it completely changed my perspective on progression and sort of like advancement through a game. And like I talked about before, how I recently played the first handful of hours of Death Stranding and the first handful of hours of the Phantom Pain within kind of like a few weeks of one another. And one of the things I thought they did really well was with Phantom Pain with the stealth action genre and Death Stranding with whatever you want to call it, the walking simulator genre or the delivery.
No, it's the Stranding genre.
The Strand genre, exactly.
It's a Strand game.
But he in game design terms, he's very good at putting up walls and allowing players over the course of time to knock those walls down and to get that sense of validation and progression that they get from making an arduous task easier. And like that classic example of Death Stranding, the first mission that the game properly gives you is transporting a body, which is the most annoying thing to do in the whole fucking game because you cannot stay balanced. And it doesn't ask you to do it for like another 15 hours after that. And every single interval after that, but it's like, oh, here's shoes that don't break every 5 minutes. Here's an exoskeleton that keeps you upright all the time and allows you to like sprint. Here's a bunch of different weapons so that when you do have to take on engagements, they're actually fun. Oh, and by the way, now you're building roads. Now you've got full-on cars to drive along the roads. Everything becomes trivialized. While the next set of objectives, like, oh, now you're in the fucking like snowy mountains, they start to feel difficult. And I just want that same kind of like core loop and that same core progression philosophy to be maintained. The other thing I like about Death Stranding is like there is a sense of kind of almost isolation in a vast open world. You know, when the camera pulls back and you get the low raw music kick in and you're like on this vast adventure on your own, there's something really engaging about that. If there's a way to rework that, but not have it be about being an Amazon delivery guy, that could be cool. Like maybe take a little bit of influence from a series, say, I don't know, Stalker, for example, and capture how that used sort of like isolation and like loneliness to enhance what was essentially like an FPS game when it actually boiled down to it, but set in a very vast open world that, like I said, captured some of those feelings. But I don't know. I really don't know. He could make a fucking... They could be an entire city that we didn't really get to see in Death Stranding, and he makes an entire game set in an urban environment that's like 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. Like, I just don't fucking know.
Yeah. I guess that's the beauty of Kojima, right? Like, he can and usually will do anything to just not be samey.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Which in effect makes him a bit samey then, doesn't it?
The only thing that's the same about him is how different he is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
Mate, it is kind of mental. You know what else is mental, Jamie? The fact that people support this podcast with some of their hard-earned dollars, shekels, rubles even, because we don't discriminate where that money comes from as long as it keeps the lights on. I am, of course, talking about our gracious patrons, and you too could be a patron. Not you, Jamie, like you as in the listener or the viewer of this podcast.
I think I could actually, have wanted to be.
Maybe, but that's kind of like diminishing returns, though, because
it's like
you're supporting yourself, but you're letting someone else take a cut.
Yes, exactly. I'd be like taking £10, let's say, to give like probably you and Jonesy like £2 each, and then the rest of it gets lost to Patreon. It all comes back to me. So
yeah, exactly. But for as little as $2, you get access to our Discord server. So if you head on over to patreon.com/SuperShow, you can help keep the Super Show dream alive, even though we've moved days. And hey, maybe it works better for you, and you want to, throw us a coin to say thanks. And some people that have done just that, Jamie, are on screen right now. And there's some names that I'm going to caress the microphone with.
Ooh.
I'm, of course, talking about Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, Bill Caesar, Brimstone, Cole K, Crow's Perch, I, Snort Rock Salt, Jesper Camdal Nielsen, Leo Merger, Mindful Pig, Mr. Anthropic, Pastors Guild, and then, of course, I'm talking about the big boys. I'm talking about Bretzi, a.k.a. Shellshock, Doppler, Geometric Potter, Hacksaw Book Read, Manuel Guerrero, and Peaswad. And if you would like to show your support to the Super Show and make sure that I never, ever deliver those lists of names like that ever again with the moistness in my throat, then head on over to patreon.com/Super Show and show your support. I still can't believe it. It's amazing that we've got this community built around us, and I'm thankful for it.
I'm unbelievably grateful. So thank you all so much for showing your support. It means a lot.
Yeah. Talking about showing support, Jamie.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that you have been showing support to a particular game.
Trombone Champ. You're right. Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about Overwatch 2, Chris, aren't you?
I am talking about Overwatch 2 because, not that a game needed support, especially a high-profile one that goes free to play. But yeah, Overwatch 2, you've been playing it. How have you been finding it?
Yeah, I've been having a good time with it in a way that it wasn't so much that I didn't think I would have a good time, it's that I didn't think I'd have a time at all. Like, if you turn the clock back, I don't even know, 6 months or so, when I didn't have a lot of particularly nice things to say about Overwatch 2 and the direction it was going in, the volume of work that's a harsh way of putting it, but the changes, let's say, that looked like they were being filtered into the PvP elements of the game, the way that the PvE elements of the game were no longer clear of what the objective was or when that was going to come to fruition compared to what the original pitch for Overwatch 2 was. But you know what? Yeah. I don't know if you felt it this week. There's something about a game like this coming out, being free to play, servers crashing, DDoS attacks, streamers getting hundreds of thousands of viewers, like the general kind of excitement in the air when something big happens and you're one click away from joining in, that just makes you go, oh, fuck it. Yeah. And so I said, fuck it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I think Overwatch is one of those games that, at its worst, it's just boring and annoying. But at its best, it's actually quite a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you get lost in it. Your camera's doing absolutely mental things, by the way.
Yeah, it's lost me again. Although last time it found me on its own, so I'm just going to trust the process, and I'm going to ask you to do the same. It's Moneyball, Chris. It's a process. It's a process. It's a process.
I got you. Trust in the process.
Exactly. I'm not sure I could say with any confidence that I've had any like an overwhelmingly good or an overwhelmingly bad time with Overwatch 2 thus far, mostly because I was only very loosely into the first Overwatch. Like I picked it up on PS4, the Origins Edition or whatever it's called. I gave it a good go. I tried all the heroes. I put probably 10 to 12 hours into that game, and it never truly got its hooks into me. It was just something that was mostly fun to play, and it was there and it was available, and it was, it was friendly. Like it didn't feel too sweaty because I obviously never got competitive or ranked or anything super gnarly like that. I guess what was weird about Overwatch 2, and again, I must stress that this is like a layman's take on it, is it was just weird, like launching a game, and it said, I think my accounts have merged, I don't know, but it asked me, do I want to do the tutorial, and it recommended I did, so I was like, yeah, sure, and I was like, it's the same tutorial, like, I'm Soldier 76 again, and yes, he's got a beard now, but I'm still, like, chasing Trace around the same facility, and everything looks like it's got, like, a level of polish and sheen that makes its visuals look appropriate for this day and age, but, like, not out of this world, and I'm shooting these same robots, and I'm going into the same, like, sort of like practice grounds, and there's a bunch of heroes now that I have no idea who they are, but a lot of them are locked for me because I need to complete certain hero challenges to get access to them. But yeah, like running around as Soldier 76, which is what I did a lot of in the first Overwatch and what I've done a lot of since, still feels like that. And there are maps that you go, oh, this is new, and there are maps where you go, oh, this isn't.
They've just made it night instead of day. Okay, cool.
So it's a really mixed bag, and I will say also that, like, as someone who could potentially have been interested in some kind of PvE experiment within the Overwatch universe, it's sad that, like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't excited about waiting another, like, year or whatever it would have had to have been and paying, like, any amount of money for an Overwatch 2. But the fact that things have come out and have been a bit more piecemeal, and I think they've kind of, like, broken up the PvE plans, and they're kind of like they're seasonal and they're going to come out at various times and have like paid element, and just like it really doesn't fill me with any real enthusiasm.
Mate, the last time I heard talk like that was Halo Infinite, and just look how that went, right?
Right, exactly, yeah. Like Halo Infinite was a game that kind of managed in the early stages to get people excited about the prospect of playing Halo again, and I think Overwatch 2 will do the same with Overwatch. Like it will make people go like, oh, I can play Overwatch again, courtesy of Overwatch 2. But whether or not it has the legs, we'll see, because like Halo Infinite, I thought had a really promising start, and seemed like everyone just sort of like unanimously decided to put it down as soon as they realized that the progression system wasn't great, and the seasonal structure was taking way longer than it should have done, and so on and so forth. And I don't know where Blizzard are at with any of that stuff, but like I said, I'm not enough of an expert to say, but what a weird time. What a weird thing.
It still kind of feels to me like a glorified patch.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Nothing that I've seen. Okay, I haven't played the game. Okay, I've started downloading it, but fuck me if I'm gonna finish it. But like everything I've seen and watched, and streamers and videos, etc., it just all kind of seems like these are good, decent improvements, but like this is a patch. Where's the secret sauce?
Yeah. Like I said, like this is a thing that I think for a lot of people like myself, and I think Jonesy was in the same boat, it's a like reminder of like, okay, do you want to jump back in and play a little bit more Overwatch? But it's not a reason to go like, oh shit, I need to stop like and dive in and see all the new stuff in Overwatch. It's like a nudge, it's like a bump. It's like you got poked on Facebook, like so I'm still here, I'm still a part of your life, and you're like, oh yeah, you are still here and you are still part of my life. And you go and look through their pictures on Facebook and you're like, yeah, like you still look the same, and you haven't made that many put up that many status updates in like the past few years since I looked at your profile last time. So like, yeah, an interesting reminder that you're still technically here, and I could engage or interact with you in any way I see fit at any point, but I'm kind of not gonna, for the same reason I stopped in the first place. You're ugly.
I also like the fact that like your Facebook experience was probably circa Overwatch 1 experience. The poking and status updates. Come on, mate.
Well, what are they called?
I don't think anyone does it anymore.
Oh yeah, no one does anymore. But like, yeah, my face.
I don't even think a poke is a thing anymore on Facebook.
It's probably not. But like again, you got to remember my Facebook experience ended well before Overwatch 1 came out. Like my Facebook experience ended probably around 2011, 2012, when I left school and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I'd be curious to know if there are folks listening and folks at home who have slightly more nuanced or sort of like more well-rounded things to say about this. I have no idea how well this is going to go down in the long term.
Yeah,
but it's still a fascinating thing in the short term.
I think it's going to be fine. I think Overwatch in itself has enough of a fan base to justify Overwatch 2 as an existence. The fact it's gone free to play kind of brings in all those people that were curious about it and just wanted that Blizzard polish, but didn't want to spend the money for it because they didn't maybe like the genre or like the art direction or whatever it is. But then there might be an element of curiosity sending them over to it. I think it'll be interesting to see what Overwatch League does with all of this. I haven't really been keeping up to it. It was my job at one point to keep up with Overwatch League. It is no longer my job to keep up with the Overwatch League, so I'm completely out of the loop. For me, it's kind of like a short-term success is certain, but what is the midterm? What is the long term? What does all of that look like?
Yeah, I don't know.
But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory.
Yeah, Blizzard, man, weird.
Yeah.
Roll on Diablo 4.
Yeah. I hope it's good.
I've got
although
yeah, I don't.
A lot of the reports I've been seeing on YouTube, and to be fair, YouTube is not the best place to be getting your fucking news reports on a game like a pre-release of a game like Diablo 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all like Diablo 4's monetization is going to break the game and
right,
yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's all following that huge, exactly, and that YouTube sensationalist kind of slant that people tend to go for. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? While we're waiting for Diablo 4, I've been playing some games, Jamie. There's one that I want to talk about today. Yes. There's one that I want to talk about. Oh, actually, there's two. But I'll talk about the other one later. The first one is I've been playing Moonbreaker.
I don't know what this is. I'm going to look this up while you talk about it.
So
I do know what this is.
Yeah. It's that like tabletop game on your PC that's like, what was the story written by? What's the guy's name? Like Sanderson, something Sanderson.
The guy who took over that series, the Wheel of Time series. Is it the fantasy series that got turned into
Brandon Sanderson?
Show? There you go.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson is the guy's name. So he's written the story for this. So effectively, it's very strange. It's kind of like a little bit of a mishmash of things, right? It's got the aesthetic of, I guess, like StarCraft 2-ish. Okay, The gameplay is more like XCOM. Okay. It is a tabletop thing, so it's not even like, oh, it's inspired by a table. It's like, no, literally, is a minifigure that lands on this board that you then move, but it doesn't, like, there's no animation to this thing other than it's a static figure that moves across the board, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like picks up and moves and yeah.
Yeah, but it's turn-based. It's very much XCOM style. It's like, hey, move here. There's like a cover system. There's a percentage base to your accuracy, etc. There's skills. It's actually pretty fun. It is pretty fun. And then obviously there's the, what is it, like the Warhammer kind of slant on it, where one part of this game is that XCOM side of things. Another part of this game is you collect these minifigures and you can go into a separate like portion of the game and paint them.
Yes, I remember from the trailer.
Thing. It's like I've never been into like that kind of depth of those things. Like I'm not really a Warhammer kind of dude, but it's fun. I enjoyed it. I think it definitely, it's early access at the moment, and you could definitely tell that it's early access. Not in terms of like it's rough around the edges or anything like that, but it's just like it's not feature complete, it seems.
Right. A bit light.
But yeah, like a bit light, but you can definitely tell what their intent is. And yeah, things are looking good for it. I would say that for me, it's probably not something that I'd keep going for. It's just not my bag. But I know some people who would be fucking all over this. And in fact, some of the people that I've recommended it to at work have been like, "Yep, that's for me. I'm going to go buy it right now." I'm like, okay, yeah, fair play. So yeah, I think it'll be good. But other than that, Jamie, like I'll talk about the other game a little bit later down the line in this pod. But I've been watching something. I've been watching something good.
So I've heard.
Do you? Yes. So yes, because I've been messaging you on WhatsApp, just saying you've got to get on it. I've been watching The Bear. It's a show on, I believe it's on Fox FX, but I've been watching it on Disney Plus. And effectively, it's like the way I described it to you is Whiplash meets Chef by way of The Shield in a weird kind of way.
It's such a crazy combination, but I love it.
It's mental. Whiplash in terms of the intensity, Chef in terms of the love and admiration of all things cooking, and The Shield in terms of its grittiness. And it's all based in Chicago. And the premise is there's this dude, Carmen, and he's like a world-class chef, worked at all the top fucking restaurants, and his brother dies and kind of leaves him this corner shop, like meat sandwich, Italian meat sandwich shop in Chicago. And he's there and he's just trying to fucking salvage it and make sense of it. And it's an intense 4 hours of content there, because like 30 minutes per episode just about, and there's 8 episodes. It's so good, dude. I can't wait for you to start watching it, because some shit happens there and it's like, it's fucking cool, man.
No,
it's a great show. And I watched the first 2 episodes and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I just fucking binged it on the weekend.
Yeah, it's annoying. I don't have Disney Plus, so I'm gonna have to find some other way to watch it. But
how would you get that other
raise some funds and purchase like a 1 month subscription to Disney Plus?
Totally.
Something like that. I just need to like sort out my finances and put some money aside. Times are tough, Patreon and all that.
Sure.
But I will say is that if you were, I'm talking about you personally, if you were going to sell, if anyone was going to sell a show to me, having that kind of combination of ingredients, no pun intended, I get that. It's a pretty clear winner in my book, because I obviously love food, but also just love cooking stuff. Like I'm watching cooking and kitchen related content on YouTube, like nonstop. Like all my recommended videos are cooking and restaurant related content. Not just because I'm a big fat guy, but just because I like culinary stuff. I don't even know. When you describe like that sort of like Whiplash or like Uncut Gem style of like a story that moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour and like doesn't let you come up for air in that environment.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, perfect. And hey, half an hour episodes, like you literally can't go wrong. So that sounds like a good like weekend job. Or do you know what the other thing I'm thinking of is because it sounds crazy to talk about like something that's a month away, but it's the next time I've got time off work. When I booked the week off for God of War, but God of War doesn't come out till Wednesday, and so I'm going to have a nice little 4-day weekend prior to God of War coming out, which I'm not saying it's going to take me a month to act on this recommendation, but if I don't in time, then
I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, because I just want to talk about it with you, because it's fucking cool, man.
I'll see how I go. I've like I said to you before, and I've got a big sort of week at work. Got some big projects that have dragged on for months that may well be finished this week. So if I get lucky, then
baby,
if you get a message from me at like 4 a.m. on a Friday night, and I'm just like, I just stayed up all night watching then we've made it.
We've cracked it. Yeah,
exactly.
Nice. Well, Jamie, from watching a great TV show, the other thing that I did in this past week is watched a pretty surprisingly great trailer for a movie. I am of course talking about Nintendo releasing the first trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes,
mate. I don't want to say my expectations were low, but I wouldn't necessarily say that my expectations were high either. It was more a case of like, okay, let's see what this is,
Okay.
And Nintendo being Nintendo, carting out Shigeru Miyamoto every fucking opportunity to talk about the fact that this movie was coming out. It's like, yeah, okay, but can we see something? And yeah, they announced it with a poster. Poster was pretty cool. People kind of dissected the poster for a bit, and what was it, like 2 days later, there was a Nintendo Direct all about the fucking Super Mario Brothers movie. And that trailer, man, I was pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
Like, genuinely, I thought they fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, I think they turned it into a film which, yeah, it's just, I completely think that this is going to be like $1 billion film.
I concur. I think it'll be $1 billion film as well.
Yeah. So the film is due to be released in North America April 7th, 2023. And the trailer also gave Mario fans the first chance to hear Chris Pratt's voice as Mario.
Yeah.
He doesn't sound like that, by the way.
No.
He just, spoiler alert, he sounds like Chris Pratt.
I'm not going to be contrarian immediately. I reject the idea that he just sounds like Chris Pratt. I think
he sounds like Chris Pratt by way of New York.
Yeah, the way he is Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. Like there's a New Yorker in there somewhere.
I guess so. It was kind of odd. Like the first time he spoke, I mean, I don't even remember. I got to go back and watch the trailer. But the first time he spoke, he said a few words, and I was like, "Oh, that's Chris Pratt." And the second time he said, like at the end of the thing, "Here we go." I was like, oh, "Okay, yeah, there's a little bit of a thing there."
That's exactly it. Yeah,
but it's still like 90% Chris Pratt.
But
like, yeah, exactly. Loads of people are kind of like shitting all over it, but I'm just like, who cares?
There's reasons to kind of like have a stick up your ass about it, whether it's because it's not Charles Martinet or because it's Chris Pratt again, and Pratt saturation, I think for a lot of people reached a high point a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Or just because it's like it's obvious, or because it's boring, or because he's just a plain old white guy, and that doesn't sit well with some people these days. Like, but I think the bottom line is like, you go back and watch like the Lego movie and remind yourself of like what a joyful and heart-filled performance Chris Pratt managed to give in that role, and ask yourself whether or not you actually think like this guy could ruin the Mario movie. And I think fundamentally the answer is no. Like, there's nothing he can do to that role, I think will be bad enough to like lose any semblance of the rest of the movie's quality. And I agree with you. Like I think I actually had weirdly high expectations for this. Just I think like the tact and the care.
You had, or now you have?
No, had. Like I think the care that Nintendo specifically had taken and always take with their intellectual properties and protecting them and making sure they're not used or abused or banned about. I think as soon as Nintendo signed a deal that were like, no, we're going to go and partner up with an animation studio to finally make a big ass Mario movie. At that moment, I was like, it's like the movie equivalent of getting the Nintendo seal of approval, which doesn't always mean the world, but I think meant a lot in terms of them just selling off the rights of the Mario Kingdom and so on and so forth to the Minions people. Like you can tell immediately there's a lot more going on here than there would have been in that hypothetical. I think people like memed about and laughed about the cast announcement, but as soon as you get past the fact that like these characters need to talk, there needs to be some kind of narrative, there needs to be dialogue, and if you're going to cast real actors in these roles, then all of a sudden I actually think that casting of especially people like Jack Black, Seth Rogen, we haven't heard yet, Charlie Day, actually all of a sudden, the more you think about it, they all kind of feel like spot on casting, like really almost pitch perfect casting. There's a lot going for
Jack Black especially, I thought fucking nailed the Bowser stuff.
Yeah, and like the humor in it, don't get me wrong, it's very family friendly, but it was always going to be, because Mario has always been an extremely like family forward, like open to everyone, E for everyone, brand. So that was never going to change. They weren't all of a sudden going to start making like dark jokes or anything weird like that. So yeah, I think given all that, and just the other thing that we didn't get much of a look at, but I can't wait because I just feel like I feel like this film is going to be just dripping with like references and nods and Easter eggs. And I know it's a bit of like a meme and a bit cheesy to be excited about Easter eggs in this day and age. And when MCU fans do it or Star Wars fans do it, I laugh at them. But you know what? I'm going to cut myself some slack for Mario, because the idea
Yeah.
of like finally getting a feature-length love letter to everything that franchise stands for is super exciting as a lifelong fan.
I know what's going to happen, Jamie. I'm going to gaze into my crystal balls here, okay? And what they're telling me is that at the post-credit scene, all right,
Yeah.
there's going to be one of two things.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Okay. It's going to be Charlie Day's Luigi stuck in a mansion.
Oh,
right?
Okay. I like that.
Or, and get ready for this because this is going to fucking blow your mind, buddy. Well, not really. But it's going to be Mario taking off into space for Galaxy, baby. Can you imagine if they fucking did the Galaxy shit on that?
They could do Galaxy, mental. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else they could do. They could do... like
they could regress and go to 64.
They could do that. That would be fun. I mean, like Odyssey kind of did that, right? And that was great.
Yeah.
I was thinking like...
There's so much you can do with it, dude. Like, it's such a long-standing franchise with so many fucking great ideas and locales, and just...
Like you teasing...
It makes me feel young again. I don't know how else to put it.
Totally. Well, because it taps into shit from when you were young.
Effervescent.
It is effervescent. Like you talking about Luigi's Mansion thing makes me think that you could just easily do like... You could bring in like a Bowser Jr. for like for a Bowser spin-off. You could bring in a Diddy Kong for a Donkey Kong spin-off. Like, you might be one of those things, like, you know how people really liked Peacemaker when they're making Suicide Squad, so we're just like, fuck it, we're going to give him his own show. Like, if Seth Rogen nails it as Donkey Kong, like, maybe you get Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong doing their own thing on Disney. I don't know where it would live, but, you know. That
Donkey Kong Country, that'd be pretty fucking dope.
Yeah. What else you could do? I don't know, you could probably, I don't even know. It would probably just be some weird reference. Wario, Waluigi, like that kind of thing. Like,
that would be cool. Yeah, maybe some like a little bit of a race going on. You know, some karting.
Very true. Some karting would be great.
I think what this also opens up the door to is obviously there was the talk of a Zelda animated show on Netflix.
Yeah,
I don't know if that went anywhere. I think that was just like there was a plan and it fell through or something. But
I get confused.
I think that could also be like super sick, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's obviously there is something nice about these franchises existing in the formats they've existed in, and Nintendo kind of keeping control over what they built thus far, because I think it is that control that has kept everything reined in and stopped these franchises and these bits of intellectual property from spilling out into other formats and, you know, being... Nintendo experienced that a little bit early on, where, you know, they had lost control of who was able to make Mario games and Zelda games for very brief periods of times. And I'm sure they're still scarred by the fact that there are like videos of horrible Zelda games and horrible Mario games from the previous century that like exist on YouTube from like the time they made bad business arrangements, and like their IP could be sullied in such a way. But if Nintendo kept control of it and it was in keeping with like what they've built thus far, and they make sure they do right by those characters and those worlds, then yeah, sure, why not? Like, let's build it out. Like, it's kind of like it's that weird other side of fandom, and I just hinted at it before, where like I know I sit here sometimes and I take the piss out of MCU fans or Star Wars fans as I watch Disney Plus sort of like slowly exploit their love of those worlds by just squeezing every last drop they can out of it. And I kind of don't want to see Nintendo go that route, but at the same time, I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, I think they're way too protective of that. And funnily enough, I think the reason that they are that protective is because of a Super Mario movie, the one that came out in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I remember going to see in the cinema, as crazy as that fucking sounds. And the reason I remember it so vividly is because we went to go watch it for my birthday, Jamie. I think it must have been like, I don't know, what year was it? 1990? 91?
So your 19th, 20th birthday?
You were very funny, sir. No, when was it?
I mean, I wasn't born yet, so you're old.
Yeah, it was.
I hate to break it.
Well, no, actually, it was the year of your birth.
Oh, 93, a classic.
93,
one of the best years.
So that came
out.
out.
Some would say
that came out in 93, and funny enough, talking about birth, I went to go watch it for my birthday, because that was the thing. You know, when you're young and it's like, oh, birthdays, you just invite a bunch of your friends to go to a movie and
Totally.
go to like a burger place afterwards. So that was one of my birthdays. I must have been 10. No, 9. I was 9.
Yeah, because you're not quite a full decade older than me. You're on the cusp.
So yeah, like it, and it's because of how fucking badly that all went, and you know, the enduring legacy of that film that kind of has made Nintendo so skittish, I guess, with everything to do with their property and their IP.
And you'd also imagine like the enduring legacy of video game to movie adaptations, where with each passing year, another one would come out, and Nintendo would feel like validated in their decision to no longer go down that path anymore. But like, so every day they go into the office and someone says to Miyamoto, like, fuck now, did you see what they did to Resident Evil? And he's saying like, not us, right, guys? Not us. And now it's them.
Yeah. I would have liked to have said that they saw the success of Sonic and that was the catalyst of saying like, well, fuck Sega. We're not going to let them get away with this. Yeah. But this has been in the works for 7 years, which is fucking mental to think about.
Crazy.
Like, man. But yeah, I'm super hyped about it. I think it'll be cool, man. We should do a watch along or something, or like maybe not a watch along, but like just invite our patrons to come to London and watch it with us. That would be kind of fucking weird, but I mean,
we could do. I feel like some of them might have some difficulty with the travel. I'm not sure how much. That's worth to them. A trip to London to watch a film with some strangers from a podcast.
Yeah, only going to cost you $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the way the world is going. Yeah, kind of an unexpected turn of events, Jamie. Much like CD Projekt Red announcing that they are making like 1 million fucking games.
Yeah.
How crazy is this? So, man, this came so far out of fucking left field for me. I didn't even really know what to make of it. Obviously, previously we'd known that they were working on a sequel to Witcher 3, right? They had that like little... It was a video, wasn't it? Where it's like a snow-covered medallion, like House of the Lynx or House of the... School of the Lynx or School of the Cat or whatever it fucking turned out to be. I'm not clued up on my Witcher fucking lore. And then more recently, we got word that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to get their DLC, which was expected. But what was not expected, Jamie, was the fact that they're setting up a North American division.
Yes.
To work on games. Did not expect them to announce a fucking sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. Did not expect them to say that Witcher sequel was actually a new trilogy that they will be working on, a story-driven open-world RPG built on the legacy of The Witcher 3, quote unquote, currently in pre-production, and that the trilogy will conclude within 6 years of the initial release. I did not expect them to say that there was Project Sirius, which was an innovative take on the Witcher universe, telling unforgettable stories for existing fans and audience. I did not expect them to announce a new IP, codenamed Hadar, which we know absolutely nothing about, and I did not expect them to announce Project Canis Majoris, developed by a third party, which is a new story-driven Witcher open-world RPG by ex-Witcher developers who left CD Projekt Red to create their own studio, but then be hired by CD Projekt Red to work on The Witcher. And it's just like, it's just one thing. I don't even know where to start to unpack all of this.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, because I join you in your sort of like, not even confusion, just surprise. It's more
fair play to them. That this takes big balls, dude. Like,
yeah,
to come off of Cyberpunk, even though you're kind of like starting to turn around, to come off of that kind of like reputational hit, and you'd almost think to yourself, oh well, they've got to play it a bit safe. Okay, so they announced the sequel to Witcher. That's decent. That's expected. Okay, and then people are like, we'll give them, we'll let's see. We'll hold our reservations. We'll kind of see what, and all of a sudden CDPR is like, nah, fuck it. Here's fucking 50 million games we're working on.
I think it is a bit ballsy. But I also think there's a part of it that ties into what we've been talking about through most of the year as one of the emerging trends of 2022, which is just companies being far more willing, whether it's as a part of a recruitment drive or to increase awareness of the projects they've got going on, or just to kind of like jump the gun on leaks and the way that these projects inevitably get out there into sort of like public knowledge, public consciousness. I think there was just an element of like, this is like Rockstar confirming they were making a new GTA. This was like Crysis 4. This was like the Splinter Cell remake. This was like the new is it the new Blizzard like hunting RPG, or was that Riot? Or can't remember who's making that.
Oh no, that's Blizzard. Yeah,
Blizzard.
That's Blizzard.
Like,
yeah,
and so on and so forth. Like this is the next evolution of the like, hey, we're tweeting about the game we're making.
Yeah, this is like, hey, we're tweeting about every single thing that we're thinking of making in the next 10 years.
Like Respawn, who came out and was like, yeah, we're making 3 Star Wars games at once. See you later. And like, don't get you wrong, this is the most, as you kind of hint at, this is the most extreme degree we've seen of that style of announcement. But it does still seem to be kind of like a weird trend that CD Projekt Red have just taken to another level. Yeah. With things that like
it's just mad.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of like what you said about like, oh, this is Rockstar announcing GTA 6, but it's not. This is like Rockstar announcing GTA 6, Red Dead Redemption 3, 4, and 5, Bully 2, Bully Open World, another game set in the Bully universe, like fucking Manhunt 3. Well, do you know what I mean? Like it's all of these fucking things. It's fucking mental. There was a very interesting take for Project Sirius, which is the game that was being developed by the Molasses Flood, which was they did the Fire in the Flame. I always forget the fucking name of this game.
Fire in the Flood.
Yeah, Flame in the Fugazi.
Fire in the Hotel.
Fire in the Hole. So yeah. There was a really interesting take on it saying people are really fucking hoping that it's a Witcher-based farming simulator like Stardew Valley, etc., but that it's Geralt and he's like tending his grape, he's like vineyard in fucking what's that place from the expansion. Like, can you imagine something like that? That would be. I mean, I think that would be cool if they did something like that, man.
Like, why not? Why not? Like, have some fun with it. It could be.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I think there's an element of this. I was a little bit surprised that they have announced that they are working on a new IP and given away its a code name. But then also, like, when you add up what that amounts to in terms of information it gives us, it's basically nothing.
Yeah.
If you had told me last week, basically, Chris, that CD Projekt Red were at some point in development or planning on more Witcher games, more Cyberpunk games, and a new IP, I'd have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, they may not. That sounds like they may be stretching themselves quite thin. But when you assign like what we know now, like you said, the development of a sort of a North American-based studio in combination with the Molasses Flood, who they acquired, and the fact that like when you read into the financial reportings, they're actually quite upfront about the fact that like, hey, there are like 150 people working on this Project Polaris right now, and 350 people finishing off the the Cyberpunk DLC, and the Cyberpunk sequel is still early enough in pre-production that we don't really know what we're doing with it yet, but we know we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Like when you start outlining where these things would fit along a timeline, like actually this all makes sense. It doesn't mean that it's not a lot to get told at once and at this stage.
Yeah.
That is still the case. But it's also like everything does kind of fit. And I'll be honest, I'm not surprised by a full-on Cyberpunk sequel in the least.
I'm kind of in the middle, I think. I am surprised that, like it's. I'm not surprised because it's an inevitability. Like regardless of what happened, Cyberpunk was a success for them, and even now that they're turning it around, they're getting a lot of positive press from it. The DLC is coming out. I think I'm just surprised that they are going so whole hog before even releasing the DLC for the current iteration of it. And I guess that kind of also leads up to what I've been doing this past week, because I went back and I thought, you know what, fuck it, let me just try to get back into Cyberpunk pick up where I left off.
Mhm.
And it was fine. I jumped in, didn't remember where I was in the fucking story, but I was at the start of a mission. I was like, yeah, I'll do this mission. Did the mission, did the story. It was interesting enough in its own right. And I was like, yeah, I mean, fine.
And that was it.
It is what it is. And literally that was it. And I switched it off and I haven't gone back. And it kind of made me a little bit sad because I think like, I just don't think I will go back. I think there's too many things that are going to, like, if there was a gaming drought at the moment, then yeah, you know, like clear up my back catalog of the games that I really want to play, and then I'll get back to it. But
which new releases have you been wading into in the last 6 months?
Elden Ring.
Oh, okay. So
you asked the question. I've given you an answer.
Your excuse for not playing more Cyberpunk is that you're still playing a game that came out in March. That sounds like a you problem.
It most definitely is a me problem, a you problem. No, it most definitely is. But what I'm saying is like, there's even you take Elden Ring away, like there's so many things that I just want to get into and play and like fucking get back into that Halo Infinite campaign as an example is kind of feels a little bit more interesting than Cyberpunk at the moment for me. As crazy as that might sound. Maybe it's because I feel like I haven't started to scratch the surface on Infinite.
What a weird game to throw back to as well. Like, I also didn't finish Halo Infinite,
I know,
but I'm like,
I know.
I played enough of it.
Yeah, but I think I haven't played enough of it to be that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, sure. But if you wait long enough, they might have co-op by the time you get there.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I just think I'm not that fussed. So that's maybe why I'm just a whole lot cooler and surprised on a full blown fucking sequel announcement. But yeah, fair enough.
I think the thing for me is that like gamers love to make decisions that risk hurting themselves in the long run. We see it all the time where, you know, gamers take like a moral stance against something or make a declaration about something that they don't have the full information on, and all of a sudden they're boycotting a thing or they're not interested in this and they're not interested in that. Ultimately, the only person you harm by making a decision about whether or not you play a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 based on the state of Cyberpunk 2077's launch, or based on how you feel CD Projekt Red handled that launch or their communication or like so on and so forth, is kind of yourself. Like, and the idea that that anyone would not play, like, let's say a critically acclaimed 2077 sequel, just because you've still got like weird memories about the time you were burnt a few years before. I'll be like, totally, like that's your prerogative. You feel burnt, that sucks. Also, you've made the decision to not play one of the best games of the year in this hypothetical.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't see the point in that. And I think that one thing that history has proven us is when there are boycotts and when there are bad feelings, most people crack when the next good thing happens. And if a CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077, I hate how similar those names are, in my head at least, comes out.
Well, yeah, because it's CDPR and CP 2077.
Thank you. You're on my side on this, and that means a lot. But if that sequel comes out and it's critically acclaimed and they land all their punches from the off and they do the Witcher thing and switch over to Unreal and it runs and looks a million times better, and they make good on some of the they make good on all the promises they make this time, and it's also offset on the backdrop of a widely improved reception to the original game, the way that offshoots like Cyberpunk Edge Runners have drastically increased the interest and engagement around that world and some of those characters and some of those themes. If that game comes out and is like in the 90s on Metacritic, it also sells 20 million plus units the way its predecessor did.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's a no-brainer. Like, I think in games, like, it's very hard to burn bridges permanently because people are always going to be drawn to what's good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And don't get me wrong, like, if Cyberpunk 2078 comes out, I'll be hyped up again for it, just like I was for 2077, like, by all means. And again, it's like what I've said before, like, I don't believe that 2077 is a bad game.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's just not I just got a lot of apathy for it at the moment, I think. One thing I did find funny was the little blurb coming from CD Projekt Red about the so-called Project Orion, which is the sequel to Cyberpunk, which was Cyberpunk 2077 sequel that will prove the full power and potential of the Cyberpunk universe.
Yeah.
It just kind of, just the way they worded it, just kind of felt a little bit funny. It's like saying, like, right. You know, we weren't really able to deliver it in the first game, but the second game will nail it.
It sounds like investor talk. It sounds like, do you remember how excited everyone was before they realized what game we'd made? We're going back to that feeling. The hype train is getting ready. The hype train's on the tracks again. Choo choo, motherfuckers.
Yeah, fucking hell. And the last bit of news from all of the stuff fucking coming out of CDPR is co-founder Marcin Iwiński, is that how you said? Iwiński?
Like
stepping down from his role as co-CEO, Jamie.
Yeah, which, I don't know, like, it's always interesting when someone in that position takes a step away from the spotlight or takes a step away from that position of seniority. You know, it's always hard to know how much or how little to read into it, basically. Like, is this an intended and like directed change in senior management as a result of the performance of recent titles, or as a way of the performance of recent titles, or whatever the case may be? Or is this like a mutual decision? Because I feel like Marcin was the guy who was always in the spotlight of, you know, when you saw those pictures of like, this was him during The Witcher 2, him during The Witcher 3, and then him during Cyberpunk, and he's like, looks more and more disheveled, and the bags under his eyes get bigger and bigger. Like, Marcin was like the poster boy for how working at CD Projekt Red seemingly destroyed like his image.
I love that. I love that.
And so like he's in his late 40s. Like, maybe he decided it was time for something different. Maybe there was a role within the company that made more sense for him. I'm not sure if they've said whether he actually left or just stepped down from his role as co-CEO.
So he had a message himself, which I have here currently. Just a few things, like, I have some news that's both important to me and to the company. I'm beginning a brand new personal chapter at CD Projekt, as I will submit my candidacy for the role of chairman of the supervisory board, leaving my joint CEO role. So basically, he's just going board side instead of company side.
And it's so hard to know when companies like this, being a Polish company, having as many employees as they do, with the American shit starting up with it. I don't know what kind of expansion plans they've got in the works. Like, it's very hard to know how hands-on and how involved a co-CEO would have been if he'd remained one, and how uninvolved he will be now that he's stepping down from that position. So this again just feels like filling the investors in on what they needed to hear, because it's significant change in, you know, senior management and leadership. But at the same time, in terms of the impact on the games, it's just a different face we see every time they need to make an apology.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then the fact that they're doing a Boston hub and a Vancouver hub.
Yeah.
I believe it's the Boston hub that's working on the Cyberpunk stuff, isn't it?
I'm not 100% sure. I know Boston is where the Molasses Flood is based. So I don't know if...
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, so then maybe it's the Vancouver hub then. Unless I'm getting my news mixed up. Who the fuck knows?
I mean, I know that most of kind of CD Projekt Red proper, like I think 350 people are currently working on these Cyberpunk expansion. So, like, it's very clear that that's their highest priority at the moment, is making sure that thing is in tip-top shape, because Lord knows they do not need another round of press that eats them alive, because that would be rough.
Good Lord, yeah, that would be mental.
Like, that thing's got to be fucking airtight.
It's more than airtight. So out of everything that's they've kind of announced, what's kind of piquing your interest the most?
Do you know what? In spite of everything I just about Cyberpunk 2077, and while I would like to see them make good on a lot of those promises and that world and everything it has the potential to offer, it's also, like you said, it's kind of soon. Like, Cyberpunk, as you demonstrated this week, still feels like a game that most of us could just dip back into and kind of see what's up with. And I think in that sense, I'm far more interested in... I want to know more about what the new IP is. I think it's also interesting that, like, CD Projekt Red, through both The Witcher and through Cyberpunk, adopted those universes from existing properties, whether they were novels or like board games or like D&D shit, or whatever the fuck it was. Like, seeing them build a world from the ground up and not be able to borrow races and languages and ideas and like fashion and political allegiances and all this stuff from something that's existing, that's intriguing, and that's a challenge that I'd love to see them take on. But also, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited by the prospect of them really embracing how much tech and the potential for open world games has changed in the 7 years since The Witcher 3, when they're making a new Witcher game running on Unreal, which hopefully removes a lot of the kind of the technical mishaps they ran into even back then. I think, like I said, open world gaming and gaming in general has changed a lot in that 7 years. Probably also got a couple more years at least until we even start to see this thing. So in the same way when we talked about Rockstar, just seeing what they do with the time they've had and the technical capacity that has increased in that time for them to make unique and interesting experiences, I'm excited for that as a prospect. And also excited, sorry, just a quick one, just to say, excited to see them be able to deliver a story over a trilogy that people are far more likely to play all three of. Because it's very easy to forget that The Witcher and Geralt and that world kind of arrived to most people in the form of the third game and remained that way. So them to have another crack at a trilogy that has eyeballs on it from the word go, also kind of cool for them and intriguing for us to see how they make that story work over the span of, as they said themselves, probably 6 years, if not longer.
Yeah. Well, I've still got a long way to wait because that new trilogy sequel, as it's called, Project Polaris, is still in pre-production.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I wonder, do you think they're in pre-production, they're getting this entire story, but then they're just chopping it up into three? Do you know what I mean? Like, could it be one cyberpunk-sized game, or is it a cyberpunk-sized game cut into three pieces? Or is it three cyberpunk-sized games?
I think you have to kind of be pretty consistent with the size of the world that you're creating and letting people run around in, and I think people are more likely to compare this to The Witcher 3 than they are to Cyberpunk, just because it's the same universe. But I think if it feels like a story or a world that's cut in three for the sake of a trilogy, that would be... I don't think that flies.
Okay.
What they do like with that open world, that is a really difficult thing because, again, open world games are getting bigger and bigger and taking longer and longer to design, and that's evidenced in the timelines that, whether it's Rockstar or whether it's Bethesda or whether it's Ubisoft, like everyone's timelines are far more stretched and prolonged than they used to be. And like, what do you do? Can you set 3 games within 6 years in the same open world, for example? Or do fans feel a little bit like pissed off about that? Because like most games, even when I mentioned Ubisoft, when they did sort of like Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, almost back to back to back. They created 3 completely visually distinct, massive open worlds for each of them. There aren't many trilogies that I can think of that have been comfortable enough to say, like, no, it's the same world as last time, and it's just more stories from within it. So that then gets into this interesting thing of like, how do they break down that world and that map to be like, this is set in this part of the world, and this is set in this part of the world, and this is set in that part of the world. Or do they? I don't know what they do. It'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we're going to have to wait a long time to figure out what they do actually do. Obviously the most recent thing that's going to come up is the Cyberpunk 2077 DLC, but beyond that, no clue as to it. We'll probably get another Gwent before we see any of these other fucking games.
Gwent. I forgot about Gwent. They'll probably do another one, won't they? There'll be another board game in the next Witcher trilogy, and like that'll become the hot new thing.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Jamie, that's all the news that we are covering for this week. There's a few other bits and bobs here, but those are the 3 main stories that we wanted to cover over here on the SuperShow podcast. How did you enjoy your time today, Jamie?
Oh, I had a fucking ball of a time. Nothing quite like sitting down with a friend and talking about video games.
Just shooting the shit. I must apologize if my my hosting has not been on point. I'm very rusty. It feels like forever since I've hosted, although that's not necessarily true. But also, I feel my throat getting very scratchy, Jamie, and
God!
I
Don't
worry.
tell me you're coming out or something.
I worry the throat cancer's coming back. Who the fuck knows?
Everyone, prepare your ears for fucking be the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations for the next couple of weeks.
Hey.
But I've got a feeling Jonesy's throat might not be in the best shape either by the next time we hear his voice on this thing. So I might be the only one without throat cancer by the next episode. If there even is a next episode. Because you both might die from your throat issues. It's just speculating. It's true. Spitballing.
Do you think you'd have a podcast where it would be like you and someone assisting you in conducting a seance and trying to get the spirits of Jonesy and I kind of coming in?
I could see that being like a piece of maybe Patreon exclusive content. Like we set up a little video and I don't know. I feel like I might have to rope in the Just Interesting boys because I feel like they might know more about this than me. I'll collab with them and we'll get a Ouija board involved and we'll just see if we can communicate with either you or Jonesy from beyond the grave.
Decent.
And it's like, Chris,
how would you know who you're talking to? What would be the distinction?
You know what? I'd probably I think I'd stand up and I'd say, reveal yourself. I need to feel your presence near me. And if it came up to my ear, I'd know it was Jonesy. And if it came up to my chin, I'd know it was you.
Wow, fair enough. I feel like you've given me a few inches there. You've been a bit generous.
No, because I don't know. Chin. Yeah, like you're not short. You're just like not tall.
That's the kindest thing you've ever said to me. Oh God!
I'm not
and
sure.
On that bombshell,
I have to test next somewhere together in person. I have to test if I could easily rest my chin on your head. And if I can, I will.
I'll come in for a big old bear hug, and we can get that sorted.
Lovely. We have to take a picture.
Yeah, and I think we'll just leave it there, Jamie.
All right, sounds
good. nice kind of entry point into the people's week, as it were. No longer weekend, week coming to your earlobes and eyeballs, hopefully on Monday evening.
Not the lobes. The lobes don't hear anything. They're just like weird fat droplets.
Mate, what? Actually, that's how hearing works.
No, the earlobes have nothing to do with the hearing.
Mate, they vibrate echolocation into your skull.
Fuck off, they don't.
No, they don't.
That's why some people barely even have them. And that's what I was going to ask. Like, earlobes, something that are disappearing as a result of, what's the word? Evolution. Because I thought we were slowly getting rid of all the things we don't need. And as far as I can tell, they're just for earrings.
Like pinky toes.
Yeah, or...
a spleen.
Yeah, what's the thing that blows up inside people? It's like a grenade.
Gallbladder.
No, it's not the gallbladder. It's like a...
the gallbladder.
Your appendix.
Appendix, yeah.
Yeah, people get appendicitis.
You need your fucking gallbladder. Yeah.
Because the appendix is a thing you don't need, and sometimes it just blows up inside people, and they get appendicitis. But yeah,
it's fucking bizarre to think of.
Or tails, like how we've still got tailbones, but we don't have tails anymore, Chris, because we used to be like monkeys.
Little nubbins.
All I'm saying is the earlobes are the next thing to go, and then, what else don't we need? Nipples on men. Thought provoking. What is the Japanese porn industry going to do?
They'll do something.
They're panicking.
Cool. Well, yeah. Tune in next week to find out as we delve deep into the question: what would the Japanese porn industry do if men didn't have nipples?
Tune in to for next week for our best Japanese porn recommendations. Those like 3-hour long films that all have like 6 films inside them, and they're all weirdly uncomfortable because they all have really high pitched voices and everything's censored, and you can't quite tell who's fucking who, and all the men are really sweaty and probably need a haircut. We've got it all next week, right, Chris? Over to you. JAV, I think it's called. JAV? J-A-V? I don't know if you call it J-A-V or JAV. European Joint Action and Vaccination. Not what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I think you're on the cusp of getting cancelled. So before that happens, thank you so much for listening if you are listening on a podcasting platform of your choice or watching us on YouTube. And with that, I will say, see ya.
I think it is Jav. See ya.